Hi everyone, and welcome to my presentation. My name is Orlando Calderin, and I am super excited to share with you my Capstone project. It is titled the RBT Session Preparation Guide. Now, this project was a culmination of everything that I have learned in the Instructional Design and Technology program, and it gave me a chance to really align my experience in applied behavior analysis with what I've learned throughout the courses. This guide is built to support new registered behavior technicians, or RBTs, on their first day and beyond. The RBT Session Preparation Guide is a tool that they can use to prepare when they walk into sessions on their very first day with some more confidence and clarity. And I came up with the idea based on my personal experiences as someone who works in ABA and supervised RBTs and trained them from an operations standpoint. I realize that many new RBTs are nervous, unsure, or just not clear about what is expected on their first day. And we have to come up with a strategy to prepare them while they're onboarding, because the way that insurance reimburses the companies doesn't match up with the structure of many young or small ABA companies. And this is what we came up with. So this guide was designed with new RBTs in mind, as we mentioned earlier, and these are individuals who have just passed their 40-hour training and are stepping into the field for the first time. They might have never worked with a child with autism, or they might be nervous about using data sheets, behavior plans, or just how to follow instructions from a BCBA. So this guide supports that transition, and it helps them get ready to get organized and feel confident in their very first session. For this project, I consulted with 3 other BCBAs in the field for feedback, and I worked directly with Aisha Albright-Jordan, who served as my client and lead stakeholder. Aisha is not only a BCBA, but also a licensed clinical social worker, and she specializes in trauma-informed care and neurodivergent populations. We looked at the gaps in the onboarding process and identified areas where new RBTs need more structure and clarity. This slide shows how everything came together. I followed the ADDIE model: analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. I also used human performance technology strategies from our coursework to identify root causes and close performance gaps. I used Canva for visual tools, Google Slides for presentation materials, Excel for lesson planning templates, and BrainCert as a possible platform to host a guide in a self-paced format. BrainCert is a learning management system, LMS. The guide itself includes printable materials, digital templates, an Excel-based weekly schedule, instructional slides, and an onboarding course design outline. It wasn't just about making something pretty. It was about performance improvement and delivering a tool that fills a real training gap for new RBTs. Here is a breakdown of what I actually built. The session preparation guide walks the RBT through what to do before the session, how to prepare the environment, how to review the behavior plan, how to gather materials and reinforcement tools, how to interact with the family, and how to take good data. The Excel planner breaks down 5 days of structured session activities based on the behavior intervention plan. I also created infographics and a course outline in BrainCert to host this as a training module. One of the biggest challenges was stakeholder availability and feedback delays. I had to wait on responses from my client due to unexpected events that slowed down certain parts of the development. It was also a challenge to manage some scope creep while staying within the timeline. So I had to learn how important it is to stick to your core objectives and to use time management and project management tools to stay focused. To ensure the guide was actually effective, I gathered feedback from the RBTs who tested it during their onboarding process. What worked well was the clarity and layout visuals, simplicity, and checklists helped them stay focused and confident. One tech said, "It made it easier not to forget something. The checklist kept me focused." Others said it helped reduce anxiety because they knew what to expect going in. There were also some really helpful suggestions for improvement. Some RBTs wanted more examples, mock cases, and filled out versions of the templates. A few had trouble using the Excel version on their mobile phone and asked for a walkthrough video. These suggestions directly informed the next steps. After this course was over, I planned to develop a mock case example and a walkthrough video. However, I did explore implementing mobile-friendly formats like Google Sheets, which you will see in the module itself. This kind of user-driven input helped me align the project even closer with the real-world application and continuous improvement. After developing the RBT session preparation guide, I wanted to make sure it didn't just look good and actually worked in the field. So I collected specific formative feedback from RBTs and the BCBA who piloted the module. One RBT said the checklist was helpful but a little long, so I created a condensed version they could slide through quickly during transitions. Another asked for more visual supports to better understand the behavior strategies, so I added icons and arrows and visuals throughout the guide. There was also feedback from someone who didn't know where to start when reviewing the materials, so based on that, I added a clear step-by-step how to use this guide Google Slides presentation section to the guide to facilitate the task analysis. The BCBA shared that the Excel planner wasn't editable on mobile, so I added a Google Sheets version to improve accessibility across devices. These small but impactful adjustments made this guide stronger, easier to use, and more aligned with real-world needs. This is the instructor guide that I created to support facilitation of the RBT session preparation training. It walks the instructor through each section of the session, starting with the introduction, where they explain the purpose of the guide and highlight the importance of session readiness. Then they review the learning objectives with the group to make sure everyone understands the session goals. All the materials are listed, including the PDF guide, the editable Excel planner, behavior plan samples, and visual supports. Instructors are prompted to explain how and when to use each item. From there, they lead learners through setting up a therapy session, followed by the instructional strategies like modeling, role play, and group discussion to reinforce the concepts. During the practice portion, learners engage in a hands-on activity using the lesson plan template. Instructors give guidance and feedback throughout this process, and the assessment section encourages formative checks and reflection, using a checklist to gauge readiness. And finally, it wraps up with a summary Q&A and an opportunity to clarify anything that's still unclear. This is the learner guide that aligns directly with the RBT session preparation guide. It breaks everything down into manageable chunks for new RBTs. We start with a welcome and overview, giving learners a clear sense of what the guide is for and how to use it and what to expect. Then we move into the session materials. This is where they check off everything off of the infographic, which is what they need before beginning a session. And next is client engagement, which focuses on building rapport and communication with clients and caregivers. After that, learners review the behavior intervention plan, or BIP as they call it, and they learn how to identify the key behaviors and interventions they'll be working on. For session planning, they practice filling out a sample session using the Excel template, and we also included a section on daily living skills, which teaches self-help strategies using the task analysis, like brushing teeth, for example. And finally, the behavior management section walks them through how to match scenarios to the appropriate interventions. The goal here is to build confidence, structure, and readiness for the real-world sessions. This slide here is the RBT session preparation guide. It's an infographic with the pre-session prep checklist, materials and tools inventory, the session environment check, the flow of the session, and tips for first-time RBTs. I learned how to adapt my communication style to stay efficient even when schedules change. I also discovered the value of buffer time in planning and how to keep a project aligned to objectives. Despite unexpected challenges, flexibility, structure, and persistence were key. And here is the self-paced course, which introduces the RBT session preparation guide, which is a practical and research-informed resource created to help new registered behavior technicians confidently prepare for their first client sessions. This was designed using instructional design principles and ABA strategies. This course walks learners through session setup, materials management, behavior plan alignment, and best practices from the field. The learners will also explore planning templates, visual guides, and a customizable session planning tool developed for a real-world scenario. By the end of this course, RBTs will feel empowered to enter their sessions with clarity, confidence, and a solid foundation in both behavioral and instructional strategies. I want to thank Dr. Adloff directly for the amazing, wonderful feedback that we received throughout this whole project and throughout this course this semester. The videos were very detailed and very specific, and this capstone project really helped me to see the power of instructional design in applied settings. And as someone working in ABA, I know how important good training is, and I feel that I got that in this course. And now I feel confident designing meaningful, accessible resources that improve outcomes for our clients and our agencies. I look forward to turning this guide and modules into a course that supports RBTs at the Hope Center for Behavior Change and across many other agencies. I am very proud of the work that I completed in this program, and thank you so much for taking the time to watch this presentation. I hope that you have a wonderful summer. Thank you.